everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, welcome back to the second round of TBR to be rolled. So this is my original TBR game based on my toddler son's game of roll and play, where each color is going to be a different way of picking a book for me to read in the month. So this month's TBR is going to be for February. I will have a quick rundown of this. However, if you do want to see all of the actual rules and more in-depth into the categories, I do have January's TBR that I will leave linked down below for you. But basically, every single color is a different way of choosing the book that I read, because the original game that it was based on, each time that you roll a color, each color has a different set of cards, which are different things for toddlers to do. So like actions, finding a color, counting, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we have, I think, all the primary colors and secondary colors on here. So red, if we roll a red, that means Presley, my 2-year-old, will get to come in here and pick any book for me to read. Orange is me picking a random book out of my TBR bucket. Yes, bucket instead of a jar because I have way too many books. Yellow means I get to pick from a set of yellow cards. These yellow cards deal with format of book, genre of book, age group of book. Then we also have green. This is another set of cards. However, these are going to be more challenges, like finding a long book, finding a short book, finding the highest rated book, that kind of thing. Then we have blue. Blue is a poll pick, which means I'm either going to post it somewhere like on Twitter or Instagram, something like that, where I pick from like 2 to 4 books and you guys have to then tell me what book I'm reading for the month. And then purple. Purple was originally going to be like roll an extra time, get an extra book. But as I mentioned in my January video, I am pregnant and that means my reading is so weird. I cannot predict exactly how many books I'm going to read. So my comments and myself have come to the consensus that purple is going to be sort of a wild card, in the fact that if I roll a purple, once I come back in here, I can then decide what color I actually want to do. So if I did not get any poll picks during my rolls, I could make the purple that I rolled a blue and do a poll pick. Or same thing with the cards. If I didn't get any cards, or if I just want to do more challenges for the books and I roll a purple, I can make it a green or I can make it a yellow. There it is. So purple is going to be more of a wild card for me, especially since I didn't want to just skip the purple and roll again, so I wanted it to be something. Now I also want to thank you for your ideas in the comments. I did add a yellow card for mass market books. This was from Shay Geeks Out, and she made an amazing point that I mentioned I don't read my mass markets very often because I forget about them. But I didn't have mass market as a format in my yellow cards. I only had I think physical, ebook, audio, etc. But in order to make sure I'm trying to get mass markets more, if I pull a yellow, I put that in there. I think that's a great idea. I also had some people mention other genres that I could read, specifically like historical, literary, nonfiction. I do think I should add those in eventually. However, I decided to hold off on it right now because the whole point of this TBR game is for me to read my massive TBR, both physical and ebook. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna do both, but my massive TBR. All of these books behind me are TBR books. We're currently sitting in my office with my TBR stack. My normal shelves are out in the front, but I don't really have that many books to pick from. So let's say I did have a historical fiction card in my yellow, and when I rolled a yellow, I picked historical fiction. I only maybe have a couple books that fit that on these shelves. For nonfiction, I have one. I literally have one nonfiction on these shelves. It's just not something that I pick up most often. So eventually, if I'm still doing this game later and I'm more open to either buying books or reading books that aren't on my TBR shelves, I will probably add those things in. But at this time, that doesn't really give me much variety, if that makes sense. Now, one other thing that people talked about in my comments, and I completely agree with, is not doing punishments. I was very iffy on punishments in the first place because of the fact that, like, I do want to read the books that are on my TBR shelves, but I don't want to feel bogged down by this game, especially at this time in my life. So we are completely skipping punishments. But one thing that I did mention in the first video that I did want to mention again is I do have rewards if I'm able to finish all 5 books that this game picks out for me every single month. So we're gonna go through the stack from last month. I will talk about them more in my wrap-up, but currently I've read 3 out of the 5. I've actually read Vicious. I DNF'd The Brilliant Death, but I'm counting that as read because, yes. I have read The Secret Next Door. I'm currently in the middle of Heart of the Sun, and I'm actually filming this when we have exactly 1 week left in January before we move to February. So if I can get Heart of the Sun done and then move on to The Nishan Smile, I will officially have finished January. And I'm not deciding that in this video because I have no idea if I'm going to finish it or not, but my reward that I mentioned in the January video that I am still doing for this year is I get to write myself a little post-it note sort of thing saying, once you finish this book, you can buy a book, and my husband is going to hide it in my shelves back here. And by in my shelves, I mean in a book on these shelves. I won't know what book it is, so I don't even know, like, if I did every single month and I won every single month this game, it doesn't guarantee that I'm going to buy 12 books, you know what I mean? So, yeah. There is actually a paperback here somewhere from the Truth or Dare book tag, which I got this idea from. It's back there somewhere. No idea where it is, and I think I did that video a few months ago. So we'll see, but I have almost finished all 5 books for January. So I think that's it, except I did want to mention, because this is going to influence the type of books that I choose for February, Fantasy Romance February is in February, obviously. I follow FayRoFeb, which is what it's called, on Instagram. I'll leave them linked down below. But basically in February, they do this whole big event with, like, fantasy romance authors and promoting their books and a readathon. And I'm going to be doing a readathon and vlogging it on my channel for 1 week. I think last year they did the readathon for, like, the whole month. This year it looks like it might only be for 1 week, and I'm going to do it that same week. It will be taking place for the 2nd week of February, so February 7th through the 13th, and I'm going to be trying to exclusively read fantasy romance, specifically authors they're promoting during that month, but there are some other ones on these shelves and in my ebooks that they're not promoting, but it's perfectly fine. But I'm going to be reading fantasy romance books for at least that week. So I'm going to be trying, depending on what I roll, to pick fantasy romance books. As I mentioned before, this doesn't really matter too much, except for I might be trying to fit those in as much as possible. We shall see what I roll, because that's what we're going to do next. Okay, are you ready to help?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, we're gonna roll. Ready? Ah! What color?
Red.
Red. Okay, so the first roll that we had was red. So that means Presley gets to pick a book. Okay, Presley. It is your turn to pick Mommy a book. Can you go get a book? Go get a book. Can you give it to me? You gotta hand me it. Give it to me.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Okay, so he picked Smoke on the Water by Laurie Handeland. This, I think, is the 3rd book in this series. So I'm going to switch it. Camera. I'm going to switch it for the first book, In the Air Tonight. And so as you saw, Presley actually picked Smoke on the Water, which is the 3rd book in the Sisters of the Craft series. So I picked up book number 1 instead, which is In the Air Tonight by Laurie Handeland. So this is a trilogy that I actually did read this first book forever ago, like when it first came out in 2015, and I never continued on with the series, even though I really enjoyed this first one. and I don't remember much about it, so that's why it's still here on my TBR shelves, because I want to reread this so that I can eventually go into the rest of the series. However, this is about witchcraft and witches, and I don't fully know what this sister's power is. I think maybe air related, but I know the second one I think is talking to animals, which is not related to the title, so I don't know. But this also has some romance in it. I think I got it in the romance section, so witches and romance could be sort of fantasy romance related, which is good for me. Okay, ready? What color?
Blue.
Blue! Roll number 2 was blue. I haven't gotten a blue yet, which I know it's only the second month, but I was very excited to see it because that means we get to do a poll. So I think what I will end up doing is picking some books that are fantasy romance related and putting it on Twitter, Instagram, maybe both this time. I'm not going to put the poll up until this video goes live, so you guys won't actually know what wins the poll, but I will put it up for like 24, 48 hours, something like that. So let me figure out some books to show you. Okay, so for this one, I think I'm going to go with 3 different options based on everything that I was looking at for the Fantasy Romance February. I have 3 options that I'm like dying to get to. So the first one I have here is Fantasy of Frost by Kelly St. Clair. This is not one of their featured authors anywhere I can tell on their website or anything, but I do know that she writes fantasy romance, and this is one that was a gift from Lana from Lore and Lullabies, and I've been dying to get to it. It's fantasy, it's romance. I know this is the first in a series. I actually don't know exactly what we're going to be doing, but the cover is gorgeous. It doesn't look too long, so I do want to get to it. The second option I have here, it's the second book in the Earthsinger Chronicles, which is titled Whispers of Shadow and Flame. This is by Elle Penelope, who is one of their featured authors, but also I read the first book in this series during the last Fantasy Romance February, so it's been about a year, and I've been meaning to pick up this one because the 4th and final book in this series came out in 2021, and I just haven't. This is like an epic fantasy with romance. I do believe the second book is going to be following different characters than the first one, but I really do need to get to this. And the third option I have here is Guild by Raven Kennedy. I do have this on ebook. I've read some Raven Kennedy in the past, and I just have not gotten to this one, but I've heard amazing things, and I do believe she is, again, one of their featured authors. So yes, those are your 3 options.
Yeah.
Ready? What color?
Red.
Red! The third roll was another red. I do think we've been getting a lot of red, both this month and last month. I think the die just likes to be red. We shall see. But that means Presley gets to pick another book. Presley, can you pick Mommy another book?
Yeah.
Go get another book. Can you hand me which book? Any book. Oh, okay. The same book he picked already.
Mima.
The camera. Can you pick me another book? Can you show the camera? Thank you. So he picked Wait for Dusk, which is the 5th book in this series that I have not started. Camera. So I guess we're switching it for the first one, which is Nightwalker.
Mima.
Camera. And so as we saw, Presley tried to pick, again, Smoke on the Water. But I'm not going to read 2 books in that series right now, so we're not. So then he ended up picking the 5th book in this series. So I did end up switching it out for the first book, which is Nightwalker. This is the first book in the Dark Days series by Jocelyn Drake. From what I understand, this is paranormal vampire romance. So again, I feel like it could fit for fantasy romance. But yeah, I don't know much about it. I have all 5 books in this series, which I think is the full series, because I did end up buying this at a used book sale forever ago, it feels like. In my state of Arizona, every February, except for the last couple years, has been having used book sales, and I got like the entire series at once for very, very cheap. So yes, I guess this is the second Presley pick. You're gonna pick lots of books for me, aren't you? Ready? Ah! What color?
Red.
Red. And then for our fourth roll, another red. Yes, Presley got to pick most of my books this month, and this one took him forever. One more book. Now, pick one of these ones. Pick a book. No, not those ones. We already did those ones. We already did that one too. Pick another one. Can you, like, Presley, pick one of these. Which one? Pick one. Show me. Pick one. Which book should I read? Pick one. That one?
Yeah.
Okay, we have finally picked one. Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. Camera. He did eventually settle on Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. This is the second book in the Shadow of the Fox. Yes, that's what it's called. It's on the book. Shadow of the Fox series. I read the first one, I think in 2020. It's been a while. Really enjoyed that one, like 5 out of 5 stars. And so this second one, I do believe, was a present from Lena from Sufficiently Advanced Lena, and I just had not gotten to it yet. I remember absolutely loving the first one. This is going to be a YA fantasy that is based with like Japanese mythology and creatures and that kind of stuff, and so yes, I definitely need to read this as well now. Okay, this is the last one. Oh, what color? That was purple.
Purple.
Purple. He picked it up too quick. And then for our fifth and final roll, we finally got a purple. I had a couple purples pop up last month, but I didn't know what to do with them, so we skipped them, and we got a purple this time. Presley picked it up a little bit too quickly, so I don't know if it... Yeah, purple. I don't know if it showed up on camera, but we got a purple. That means I get to pick what color we're going to go with. I'm obviously not going to go with more red, because Presley's already picked 3 books this month. I don't think I'm going to go with orange because I want a little bit more control over what book I pick, and just picking out of my TBR bucket. Not the best one. We did get a poll pick already, the blue. So I think I'm going to go with a card, yellow or green. Yellow is like age, format, genre. Green are challenges. I think I'm going to go with a green, so let me grab my cards. Okay, so I have my green cards. I'm just going to shuffle them up a little bit. I did not put color back in. I don't know if I'm going to do that every single time or not, but I didn't put it back in from last time. So the challenge that we're going with for this month in February is a series to continue. Okay, I probably could have done that with Whispers of Shadow and Flame, but I didn't, so I need to pick a series that I need to continue. Okay, and so I think what I'm going to go with is the second volume of For Goodness Sake by Kaylin Smith. I actually have all 3 volumes in this series, 3 volumes and it's done. This is an indie self-published graphic novel series that I had been funding on Kickstarter for a while now. I read volume 1 back in 2020, absolutely loved it. Got volume 2 but knew it was only going to go to 3 volumes, and so I waited. I will probably end up reading all of them, so rereading volume 1, doing 2, and then doing 3. This is a series about basically a guy that's cursed to look like a devil and a hippie in a school bus. I loved the first volume, and because these are graphic novels, that is going to be great, quick, and easy, because I am planning on doing Fantasy Romance February. I'm actually planning on vlogging that, so you guys will see a vlog up for that probably middle of February once the actual second week of February is over. But a lot of the books that I got picked by Presley specifically today semi-fit into Fantasy Romance February, but I don't actually know if I'm going to vlog those ones or if I'm going to do one of the ones that you guys picked for me in the poll, plus maybe a couple others, ones that I know are fantasy romance specifically, or authors that are being featured in their like Fantasy Romance February stuff. We'll see. But that means these are the 4 books for sure that I'm going to read. We do have Nightwalker by Jocelyn Drake, In the Air Tonight by Laurie Handeland, Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa, and For Goodness Sake Volume 2 by Kaylin Smith. And then you guys are picking my book number 5. So either Whispers of Shadow and Flame by Elle Penelope, Fantasy of Frost by Kelly St. Clair, or Guild by Raven Kennedy. Again, I will put those polls up the same day that this video goes live so you guys can watch this and have time to vote for me. And I think that's it for this month. Nothing too crazy. Definitely getting some mass markets in there. Presley loves to pick the books. He didn't pick any of these, but he loves to pick the books that are sideways like this. And one of the things that I'm hoping to achieve by making sure I'm reading my TBR books here is getting it so that all the books that I have on these shelves can be normal facing books. That's what I want. Spine facing, stacked like normal. I think that'd be great, and might also encourage him to pick more random books than just the ones in the stacks. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos up Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye. You want to do more?
Yeah.
Ready?
Ah.
What is it?
Orange.
Orange. Ready?
Ah.
Oh. What color is it?
Orange.
Orange. Ready?